action. So, welcome to day 3 of the Human Response Code. Today, we're talking about expectations management. And I'd like you to see what's on the slide. Yesterday, my mentor called me and said, Coach Sam, I heard that you were a bit under the weather. So many of you did not know yesterday I was a bit under the weather. I successfully hid it from all of you. And my mentor heard and called and said, I heard you're under the weather. And I said, I'm fine, I'm okay. He now said, it's because of COVID though. Your usual mid-year trip that you normally run away abroad, COVID did not allow you, but that's why you're under the weather. I was I was just laughing like, Isma, you don't know. So this image on the slide is just an example of what I feel like I'm supposed to be lounging somewhere in one country like that. But reality tells me it cannot work. Will it work? That is one of the things we want to share today. Yesterday, we agreed that because yesterday you were probably pumped up, you were probably inspired, you were probably, you were like charged up. I felt it is important for us to talk about how to manage yourself. Today, there are many slides we're going to be sharing, and I want to appeal to you to please pay attention to today's conversation. I am fine now. Thank you so much. Everything is okay. Like I always say, in case the network fluctuates, because it's raining where I am now, in case the network fluctuates, please don't worry. The recording is going to be fine. You will take it from the recording. So let us proceed. The first slide here says, manage your expectations and you will manage your disappointments. Manage your expectations and you will manage your disappointments. What does it mean to manage? What is the meaning of managing? To manage means to be open to adjustments, to be open to trading, to be open to realignment. That's what managing means. Management simply means making use of resources at your disposal per time. That's what management means. To manage something means utilizing the resources available to you per time. People say, Coach Sam may be pregnant. Oh, what will I do with you? So, that is what it means to manage. Now, what does that mean? If we're managing our expectations, it means that based on the realities we're facing.
Oh, okay. But it's network, yeah.
I'm back.
Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you. So, I was saying that to manage is to make use of resources available to you per time. That's what it means to manage. Now, we're talking about managing expectations, and by managing your expectations, you'll be managing your disappointments. One of the tips we learn in anger management class is one trigger for anger is failed expectations. One of the reasons why anger happens in anybody is failed expectations. When you have an expectation of someone or something, and that expectation is not met, it has a tendency to trigger anger in you. So one of the solutions in anger management is managing or adjusting your expectations. So ladies and gentlemen, today, one of the first things I want us to start with is your awareness that the level of expectation you have will determine the level of disappointments you will experience. I want you to write that down. Your level of expectation will be equal to your level of disappointment. I want you to write it down. Your level of expectation will be equal to your level of disappointment. That's number one. Number two, and if you want, you can write it in the chat room too. Number one, we said your level of expectation will be equal to your level of disappointment. That's number one. Number two, the more rigid your expectations, the more certain your disappointments. Number two, the more rigid your expectations, the more certain your disappointments. Number two, The more rigid your expectations, the more certain your disappointment. This is a fundamental understanding. I know you know these things. We just need to reinforce them to our conscious mind. The more you are insisting on a particular expectation, the more disappointed you will likely be. Now, what are these things? A typical example, my husband needs to support my work. That's the only way I can do this work. The more rigid you are about that expectation, the more you are setting yourself up for trouble. Another expectation, my boss should know that I love going to church at so time. He should allow me go to church. The more rigid you are about that expectation, the more frustrated you will be because you will be disappointed. Another expectation, the people in my life are supposed to be patronizing my service. When I buy a book, when I write a book, or I launch a course, my friends and the people that say, Coach Sam, all my fans, they should be able to pay. The more you expect that, the more disappointed you will be. Another expectation, I'm expecting that once I launch an idea, everything will start working the way I imagine it in my head. So I've told Coach Sam this week, my affirmation, I've affirmed, I've said I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. Everything should just go autopilot. In the next 2 weeks, things are not going the way you expect. The more you insist that things are not supposed to go negative or drop, the more you feel that your motivation is supposed to be consistent, the more disappointed you will be. There is nothing in this life, as far as earth is concerned, that is guaranteed. The only thing that is guaranteed is that things will not happen the way you want. The only guarantee you have is that nothing is guaranteed. The only guarantee we have is that nothing is guaranteed. So, on Monday, we talked about who you are. Yesterday, we talked about neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. But today, we are saying that there is a place of reality in the implementation of who you are, in the projection of who you are, and in the projection and development of neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. Okay, I'm a protagonist. I'm a natural leader. I am firm. I lead people. I am creative. I am intellectual. I am this. I am that. That is a perception. That is who you are, right? However, you are going to be meeting a campaigner like Buki. You're going to be meeting an advocate like Coach Sam. You're going to be meeting an ambassador. There are 15 other personality types aside your own personality. So when you believe that people should respond to you because you are so personality type, you will now realize that there are 15 other kinds of people that you're going to be contending with. That is why reality must always surpass expectations. That is why reality must always surpass expectations. You must train yourself to understand where reality draws the line so that you can manage your expectations. This is very, very important. Thanks, Noel Alabi, for your chat. He says 2020 destroyed expectations, which is very, very valid. All of us came into 2020 with completely ballistic firing from all cylinders. But as it were, it seems 2020 has not started for some. So let's... Now, I'm sure you've seen this before on social media. What people expect is that things will just go straight, smooth, uninterrupted, easy, flowing. I've accepted everybody. You know, everybody's just wondering, just go like that. Everybody is expecting that, oh, I want to start. Some people, for instance, one lady called me and said, I want to join BSG, Business Study Group. What will it take? I told her it's 250K. She said, no, I don't have the money. Okay. If I raise this money and I join, what are you going to do for me? By the time I finished telling her what she will do for her, she now said, okay, but I'm still a civil servant. Do you mean that when I start my business, everything will just go smoothly? I said, madam, please don't quote me. I don't have that power for everything to go smoothly. Even me, that I'm going to be teaching you or showing you strategies I have used, I cannot tell you that everything has gone smoothly. If everything will go smoothly, by now I should have 100,000 subscribers on Diary of the Coach, or at least 1 million according to Bookie. If everything goes smoothly, Nothing can stop us. So you need to recognize that reality always surpasses expectation. And we need to understand that every single time. So let's roll. This pyramid you have here is called the pyramid of expectation. The pyramid of expectation. The pyramid of expectation. And of course, based on how pyramids work, we're working from the base to the zenith. If you look at this chart, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that happens when we have an expectation or when we are trying to manage our expectation is that we must be ready for sacrifices. Can't hear me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, boss, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So the first thing you want to understand is for you to deliver on your expectations, there are sacrifices you must be ready to make, both for yourself and for your inconveniences too. There are sacrifices you must be ready to make, both for yourself and for your inconveniences too. And what are these? There are sacrifices you must make to your advantage. For instance, you may sleep less many days. For instance, your eating habit may be haphazard. For instance, you may be spending more to build a system. Many people don't have an idea. If I ask Abiola now to tell us how much she's spending, Abiola is building one of the biggest world-class organizations in Abuja, a school and a leadership center for women. And if she tells you how much she's spending, in fact, I recall one day Abiola was saying that, and by the way, I want all of us to join her program holding on Sunday, 21st of June. She's going to be sharing her story, in a Zoom program, and it's free. So please, everybody in this class, kindly, Tunde is going to send us the flyer later. I encourage us to join that program. But I was sitting with her one day, and she was sharing her burden on how much she's spending and how much more money she needs to build the kind of organization that she's building. That is a lot of sacrifice. If Abiola does not need to kill herself now, if it's just to eat and drink and wear clothes, why are we disturbing ourselves? I tell people that if I look at how much I make, I should not have any problem financially. I should live the kind of house I want. I should drive the kind of car that I want. But when I look at what we spend on as a system, despite how many people say, Kosan, no, now it's too costly, give me this discount, you're not even favoring me, you're this or that. If you know how much we spend as a system in our operational costs, these are sacrifices to meet a particular expectation. You say you want to grow a brand, it comes with a price. You say you want to become a big name, there is a price. You say you want to live peaceably with people, it comes with a price. You say you want to, whatever those aspirations you have been writing since Monday, you need to ask yourself, what am I willing to pay to get this thing done? But that's one side of the price, the sacrifice. The other side of the sacrifice is what I said, sacrifices against you. What are the sacrifices against you? Number one, compromise. If you're in a marriage, it's not about you. Your spouse is a factor. Your children are a factor. Your parents, if God has kept them alive, they're a factor. Your siblings are a factor. Your staff are a factor. Your neighborhood. There are so many sacrifices you will make about people and for people that may also determine your expectation levels. That is why the first thing we talk about in the pyramid of expectation is, I need to make some sacrifices to get this dream done. I need to make some sacrifices to get this dream done. This is where I strongly encourage everybody on this program. You need to be a student of autobiographies. Please, if you know that you want to build anything tangible in this life, you need to be a student of autobiographies. Now, an autobiography may not necessarily mean you buy a book and read. Thank God for social media. Autobiography can also mean following the people that you look up to, their social media behavior, maybe articles about them, maybe news about them, maybe their YouTube channel. So you may not necessarily, because some people don't have a written autobiography, and some don't even have biographies written about them. So use the information available at your disposal to be able to get information about the people that you need to look up to. As a business owner, now let me speak as though all of us here are owners of businesses. You cannot not study businesses. You cannot not study businesses. And I will say this every day, every time. As you are studying businesses in your industry, study more businesses outside your industry. Please write that down. As you are studying businesses in your industry, study more businesses outside your industry. I'll say it one more time. As you are studying businesses in your industry, study more businesses outside your industry. Please pay attention to these things. I said this on day one. Don't say, I know it all. I have Rema. I have Epiphany. The Holy Spirit is guiding me. God is teaching me. God is teaching all of us. But the smarter ones are also people that God has sent ahead to teach us. So these are the sacrifices you must make. You must make sacrifices to know about the things you don't know. You must make sacrifices to cover the gaps that your personality shows up. You must make sacrifices to understand the areas where your neuroplasticity is taking you. Yesterday, I told you, you may need to make radical decisions, which we call neurogenesis. And if I have to take radical decisions, it is wiser for me to make informed radical decisions, which comes about from studying and reading and developing myself. These are sacrifices. Studying people, studying behaviors, these are sacrifices you must make if you want to become the best version of yourself. Let me ask you a very important question. I normally teach this in cultural intelligence. How many of you can tell me, how many of you cannot tell me, how many of you can sit down and trace the third and fourth generation of your family tree? If you have done it before, write, I have done it before in the chat room. If you are aware and conversant with your family tree to the third and fourth generation, write, I have. Biola has. Any other person? If you have, write, I have. Bukola has. Your family tree, third and fourth generation. Wow, Biola has gone really far. Rashidat has, Doyum has, to the third and fourth generation. Wow, almost everybody has. Interesting. This is very good. Now, these are some of the realities that are very key to know patterns. You know, they say patterns make a man. And when they say man here, they're not saying male. Patterns make a man. Romeo says, I tried to. Don't fail. Don't worry. Don't be despair. Don't despair. Try again. Patterns make a person. The patterns of your lineage has a strong influence to determine a lot of things, unless you are conscious enough to create a neurogenesis. What most of us have been doing about our family tree is actually neuroplasticity. But when we understand patterns of our ancestry and lineage, and we say, no, this has to stop, we create neurogenesis. Let me explain something to you. I heard that my paternal mom, that's my paternal grandma, my paternal mom, I hear that she was a volatile woman. I hear that because I didn't grow up to meet her. She died when my dad was just 3 years old. So I heard that when she was angry, she used to be very crazy. Like if she had anything in her hands, maybe even a knife, she would fling it at you in her anger and rage. So I was born. My dad, I consider my dad to be one of the most gentle men I know in life. But one thing I know about my dad is when my dad loses his anger, when my dad is angry, just make sure you're not there. Because whatever he does to you, you just take it like that. So my dad can go into a rage, rarely, but when he does, it's crazy. When I started growing up, I honestly didn't know I had that emotion. And then one day in 1997, one night like that, it was raw. I was shocked for myself, like, what? I never saw that of myself. So then I knew, okay, I have these tendencies. But of course, you know the way you just say, well, I'm aware now, everything will be fine. And we moved on. Then I had my first daughter, 2009. And then I noticed some unhealthy, crazy tantrums that were not normal. And I felt like, wow, fourth generation, my grandma, my dad, me, and my daughter. That was when I went for anger management therapy. I've said this story in many fora. Why thrc is doing anger management certification is not because we just jumped at it. It's actually because I actually went for therapy. When I went for therapy, I was able to get help. Then I found it interesting and I went back for a second level course, which gave me the authority to become a certifying body. So I have 2 levels of anger management certification. The first level is actually myself, helping myself. That is the story behind thrc's anger management certification. Many people do not know this. So what am I saying? The moment I saw that there was a generational track of a particular behavior, neurogenesis was what led me into anger management, which was off what was normal. But if I had saying, well, we keep praying about it, we'll just be checking ourselves. When we're angry, we'll just maintain this, that would have been neuroplasticity. But when you take a step that goes off tune, that goes completely reverse what is known, it becomes neurogenesis. So I'm saying this because some of the things you may have to sacrifice is that you may have to also invest in knowing your family line. You may have to invest in knowing your own patterns and taking the requisite steps to do something about the patterns that are not serving you and reinforce the patterns that are serving you. So sacrifice is the number 1 level of expectation. The second is satisfaction. What does it mean? One of the things we say about goal psychology is for every goal you achieve, reward yourself. For every goal you achieve, reward yourself. So in managing your own expectations, give yourself a pat on the back. For every step you have made a sacrifice. Give yourself a pat on the back. For every step you know you have made a sacrifice. Give yourself a pat on the back. That is satisfaction. Give yourself a sense of satisfaction that you are making progress. Joining this class, you should be able to pat yourself on the back and say, I tried, I paid, I turned up every day for 2 hours, I did assignments, I'm enjoying the class. You need to reward yourself because you're making sacrifices. So as you're making sacrifices and you're rewarding yourself, it motivates you to keep on moving in the direction you want to fix yourself. So whatever you want to fix yourself in, reward yourself for going in that direction. Some of you here, before this session, you were really frustrated by a lot of things. And as we're having these conversations, it's giving you illumination. Your eyes are open. You're learning a new thing. You're like, oh, wow, no, I didn't even see it that way. Guess what? You need to reward yourself to say, I actually like how I understand things. We need to actually commend ourselves for every basic thing we do. Because I found out it's one of those things we don't do easily around here because we're afraid of being called proud. So satisfaction is another level in the pyramid of expectation. Number 3, surprise yourself. Surprise yourself. You need to be able to sometimes do what you actually think you can't do. There is a quote that says, sometimes we don't know we are strong until strength is all we have to demonstrate. Some of you have ever thought that, if my husband dies, I will never be alive again. God forbid it, your husband will not die. When he dies, guess what? You will move on. Some of you say, if I lose a child, my life will never remain the same again. We don't pray for you to lose a child. If in the unlikely case you lose a child, you will move on. Some of us say, if I lose, I remember saying, I think I read somewhere, somebody said some years ago, if I lose a lot of money, I'm not sure I can be happy with myself. When the person quoted the amount of money, I was thinking that I'm not sure I can lose that kind of money. It's not going to be funny. But guess what, my people? 2018, I enrolled for a course that will cost 4.8 million. I paid 1.7 million. After about 6 months, I couldn't pay off the balance. They threw me out of the course. Non-refundable. That's so 1.7 million go. If it was some years ago, I would have just said, I don't die now. How am I going to survive 1.7 million loss? But the thing is, the thing you think that you cannot sustain, that thing you think you cannot do, that thing you think that you cannot survive, that thing you think that you cannot withstand, that thing that you think that I'm dead, guess what? You'll be alive. And life will go on. And you're the one that will continue living. That is the way it is. So you need to surprise yourself in how you manage your own expectations. Very, very important. And then the last point in the pyramid is sometimes embrace suspense. Embrace suspense. Embrace suspense. There are some things you cannot see coming. This morning I was having a conversation with one of us, and the person was saying, I have even stopped praying because since God is not hearing me. Guess what? Embrace that suspense. Sometimes you want to sell out a course. You're expecting 100 people. You have only 20 people. Embrace that suspense. Embrace the place where you don't know everything. That's what this place is saying. In part of your expectations, you cannot know everything in advance. And you must be able to accommodate that suspense. That's the only way you can pull through. Some of you say your personality is this, your personality is that. And then you are wondering, but if my personality makes me a true leader, I should show up as a true leader. You need to embrace the suspense that sometimes you may not show up as a true leader like you wish you could. And this is very, very important. Very, very important. So this is the pyramid of expectation. Now let's go to what are the factors you can use to manage your expectation. What are the factors you must think about to manage your expectation? What are the factors you must think about to manage your expectation? The quality of the outcomes from your expectation is hinged on 6 factors. And I want you to write them down as I say them. The quality of the results you get from your expectations is hinged on 6 factors. Number 1 factor is defining what you call an expectation. Defining.
Sorry, Coach, please, can you repeat that?
The quality.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay, I'm repeating it now. The quality of the outcomes from your expectation is hinged on 6 factors. If your expectations would come out the way you want, 6 things must happen, or 6 things must be managed. Let me use that word. Remember, the first slide we shared today was managing your expectation would help you manage your disappointments. So there are 6 things you must manage in arriving at your expectation. Number 1, what is the definition of the expectation you have? What does that expectation really mean? Because some of you, I want my family is not supporting me. That's why I'm not doing this thing the way I want. What do you mean by support? What is the meaning of support? Some of you, I am afraid, I'm just fearful. What exactly is the outcome you want from the fear? Some of you are saying, I'm not sure what I really want. I'm not sure what I really want. Then you ask yourself, what will make me know what I really want so that I can actually write what I really want? You need to be able to define what that outcome really means to you. What is the meaning of that expectation? So if you have an expectation, you must be able to specifically identify what that expectation really is. Please, before I continue, I want to say something. Never get yourself to the point where you're walking or speaking in vague terms. Vague, unclear terms. Anytime, I saw some of your assignments, for 1 or 2 people, your assignments responses were vague. And I replied you, and I said, you need to be more specific in some things. So some of you need to build capacity to be specific in your expectations definition. When you're defining what you are looking for, be specific about it. Don't speak in vague terms. If not, your expectations will not happen and you will be frustrated. A typical example, I want to be able to undertake this particular vision in 9 months' time. That is a clear-cut expectation. I want to be able to undertake so outcome when I have attained so qualification. I want to be able to become, one of the people who replied in your assignment said, at a point, she has always wanted to have a PhD. But at a point, she told herself, what's the reason why she should have a PhD? Since I want to do business. And she said she's going to now undertake the PhD. That is a specific quality. I want to be a PhD holder. That is specific expectation. I want to run a business that makes 1 million turnover every month. That is a specific expectation. So if you don't name your expectations in specific terms, please become conversant with naming your expectation in specific terms. That is how they come to you. I want to say something a bit off what we're saying. We don't pursue our goals. Our goals come to us. I want you to write that down. We don't pursue goals. Our goals come to us. I'll say it one more time. We don't pursue goals. Our goals come to us. But if you are not specific about the goals, there is no goal that can come to you. A typical example, I want to save, let me tell you something. Sometime about some weeks ago, I had a particular figure I wanted us to generate as a business. Last night when I was looking through the books, we had even surpassed the total self. I did not even remember, I did not even notice. What that taught me is, sometimes you are just there doing your thing. The goal is actually coming to you because you are specific. I want to be able to have 2 staff that can do this and do this and do this. Guess what? They will just walk into your life, either through an introduction or through an accidental CV. You will see it is always like that. So define the specific outcome you want in terms of the expectation. That's the number 1 factor. And like I said, the takeaway from that point is don't speak in vague terms. Don't pursue or don't expect your results in blur, vague, unspecific terms. Always aspire to be specific. The next factor you should pay attention to is scope. Scope. And scope, according to expectation management, is what is the extent I want to go in this thing? What is the extent I want to go in this work? What is the extent I want to go in this relationship? What is the extent I want to go in this service? What is the extent I want to go in this transaction? What is the extent I want to go in this vision? What is the extent I want to go in anything? You must be able to define it. If I, Sam Obafemi, if my goal is to be the best therapist that came out of West Africa, that tells you the extent I want to go. I'm ready. It means I'm ready to pay all the price and the sacrifices to be one of the best therapists that came out of West Africa. So that is, you need to define the extent of your sacrifice to attain the quality that you have defined. You've defined a quality. The next question is, what are you willing to put down? What are you willing to give to get to that point? What's the scope of this dream you have? What's the scope of this work you have? That is how to manage your expectation. Number 3, what are the resources? Resources is number 3 factor. What are the resources that can help me guarantee this expectation or outcome? What are the resources? And we had dealt a lot about this on day 1. We talked about who should you be with. We talked about what resources should you be assimilating, whether it's books or audio or video. We talked about what associations should you belong to. We talked about where should you find yourself. These are resources. These are resources. But there's also one angle that I want to talk about. The angle of utilization of resources. I want you to write this down. More than half of people are looking for resources they already have that they are not utilizing. More than half of people are looking for resources they already have that they are not utilizing. That is the irony of life. There is a quote in Yoruba that says, what you are looking for in Sokoto is already in your Sokoto. And I'm sure every tribe has their own equivalent quote like that. But that is very true. Yesterday, 2 days ago, on Channels News, they were showing a man that underwent open heart surgery at what's this hospital? Reddington Hospital in Lagos. And while they were talking, the CEO was saying they've always told Nigerians that there is medical resource in Nigeria that they don't have to go abroad for. And they were talking and saying, what is in Sokoto is in your Sokoto. But the truth of the matter is, there are resources at your disposal that you are trivializing. There are resources at your disposal that you are disrespecting. There are resources at your disposal that you are commonizing. There are resources at your disposal that you are taking for granted. And you are looking for resources outside. Some of you, your spouse is a better coach than Coach Sam. But because he's your spouse, I beg you, what will he tell me? I beg, what will she say? That Coach Sam looks like very hot. Let me go and pay him. Some of you, your children are better people on observing gaps and flaws and can be good editors for you. But no, you must hire an external editor. Some of you have family members or friends or acquaintances you can patronize. But no, you don't want them to know that you can pay that kind of money. You want to go and pay outsiders. I don't know who I'm talking to, but many of us are not utilizing the resources within our reach. My younger brother is a chartered accountant. He's a chartered manager. He's a certified financial analyst. He has done all our audits ever since we've started business. He has done all our compliance ever since. And we only pay the regulatory fee that he needs to remit. He doesn't even bill us. So sometimes you don't even know you have accessibility to cheaper quality, but because for reasons not known to me, you want to look for the resources you already have. That takes us back to, Abiola says, you need to pay me well, or you need to pay him well. So that takes us back to yesterday. Yesterday we said, what are the beliefs that are hurting you? What are those beliefs you are not looking out for? And what do you need to start thinking now? This is one of it. Some of us have resource belief issues. Some of us have perfectionist problem. So we don't think that the resources at our disposal are good enough for what we want to do. Rather, we're waiting until what we need is complete. Well, I have news for you. There is no time when what you need will be complete. Because based on the law of neuroplasticity, we're always evolving in our thinking. Remember, a fixed thinking is psychologically and physiologically false. We're always evolving in our thinking. So every time you think you have this complete, another need is there. Every time you think you have this one complete, another need shows up. We will never have it complete. So if you have withheld your dreams, if you have withheld your drive, if you have withheld your vision, if you have withheld your ambitions, because you were waiting for some perfect timing or perfect resources, I am very sorry to burst your bubble. That may never happen. The next factor is cost or budget. You need to be able to ask yourself, do I have the requisite financial knowledge? Because now when you see budget and cost, I'm sure you'll be thinking, do I have the money saved up? No, that's not where I'm going. For your expectations to be properly managed, you must develop financial knowledge. You must develop financial knowledge. So let me ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how many of you believe that any money you need for something, it shows up? Confident, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself. Anytime I need money, the money shows up. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself. Anytime I need money, the money shows up. Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, the next question I'll ask you, especially for anybody that scored less than 9, for anyone that scored less than 9, the question I'll now ask you is, what needs to happen for you to move from that your score to 9 or 9 and above? You may not need to answer. What do I need to do so that when I think of finance, cost, budget, the money is showing up? I want you to think about that question. What do I need to do to make sure that when I think of money, the money shows up? Because, ladies and gentlemen, money is a major, significant part of meeting your expectations. I want to shock some people. You don't have to do the labor if you can pay for it. And one of the ways to accelerate your expectation is to be a money generating mindset. Some of you are having difficulties with your better half or your significant other because your worry is, if I go into this vision, what happens to the bills? If I focus on my work, if I don't focus on my business and my work, what happens to my family? But let's look at it. If we drill down into that question of what happens to my family, what happens to my home, what happens to my this, it is likely to be a money matter. So for you to meet your expectations, you must be conscious of generating as much revenue as possible. And I'm saying this because many people in this class may be lethargic. You may be reluctant to generate revenue. Some people wrote in their assignment and said, I believe that freely I was given, so freely I should give. And that person says he's going to work on that belief system. Very fantastic approach. Another person said, I know I'm supposed to be making money, but I feel that sometimes I don't want to feel embarrassed that I'm asking people for money. And the person says she's going to work on it. That is another fantastic perspective. The thing is, without generating as much revenue as you need for whatever the things you say you want to achieve, you will be ultimately frustrated. So to manage your expectations, generate as much revenue as you can from as many sources as possible. It is a good thing to hire someone to execute every idea you get. It's faster. And I speak from experience. For every project I have done, I am not the one doing it. I project it, I run with it, but there are people implementing it because I have developed the intuition to generate revenue and pay everyone his service to get things done. So I get things done faster. I'm writing fans don't pay now. Guess what? As at the time I announced fans don't pay, I had not written a dot. But I already commissioned an editor who generated sets of questions based on what my table of content would be. She sent me the set of questions. I have answered all those questions in audio format, sent it back to her. She's now transcribing it, and my manuscript will be ready. Simple. I don't have to sit down and start writing and crossing and squeezing sheets of paper and throwing away and saying I have writer's block. No. So all I'm saying is, if you don't think of how to, but guess what? I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have the means to pay her to generate questions, to transcribe, and to edit. I will have to be forced to do it myself. Some of you have a mentality of cutting costs. I don't want to spend too much. There is a book written by Larry Olushola called The Money Book. In that book, Larry Olushola says, the rich people buy other people's time so that they can make more money with the time they have bought. But the poor people want to use their time to do the work, and then they don't get to make money. I'll say it again. Viola says, I knew I was born to be an author. I just needed to be told. The Money Book. In the money book, Larry Olushola said, the rich people buy the poor people's time and use that time they've bought to make new money. But the poor person wants to do the work by himself and thereby losing the chance to make money. It was an epiphany for me. It just validated my habit because my mom used to tell me, Babatunde, you like living large, you want to live like a big man, calm down, calm this, calm down. Well, I realized that it's working for me. I make money, I pay someone to do something for me. While they are doing it, I'm making new money, paying another person to do another thing. While they are at it, I make new money. I would rather be paying people to do the work while I'm thinking of how to make new money. So money is key for managing expectations. There are many things you don't have to do by yourself. Don't force yourself, because if you have to do it by yourself, it may take you 10 years. Some of you are still civil servants. You may have to leave your job first before you start doing some things. But if your money can start doing it for you, you don't lose anything. So I'm going to move on this point because this is a very critical point I always like to hammer on. Then the next is risk. What are the risks I'm likely to face when I focus on this expectation? What are the risks? Some of you, like I said, you are antagonizing the people in your life because you think they are not supporting you. You're antagonizing yourself because you think you're not doing enough. Some of you told me, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. I don't think I'm maximizing my capacity. I'm not this, I'm not that. Yeah, you need to weigh the risk. If I start maximizing my capacity the way I think, do I have the mental capacity? That's a risk. Do I have the well-being? Is my personality suited for the level of pressure I want to embrace? Do I have the support? What happens to my family structure? What happens to my finances? What happens to my friendships? So many factors are affected by these risks. So in building our expectations, we need to be able to manage the risks that come from. So that was for risk. And then the last one is time. I'm going to move from time because there is something else I want you to say about time. So I'm going to suspend time here and move forward and share it in another slide. Just hold this thought with me. But before I continue, I want you to tell me, so far, based on what we have shared, what have you heard? So far, based on what we have shared, what have you heard? I want you to share with me in the chat room. So far from what we have shared, what have you heard that stands out for you? So far from what we have shared, what have you heard that stands out for you? Icalo says, I'll source your stress points and fly, girl. I like that. Abiola says that I am enough. Bukola says, outsource Neo. Fantastic. Tega says, don't pursue your goals. They will come to me. Yes, so Akim Binu says, be specific in my expectations. Aisha says, be a wealth magnet. Bukola says, I cannot kill myself. Benny. Vivian says that most of the resources we're looking for are already with us. Yes, perfect. Who else? Yemisi says, let my money work for me. Yes. Mrs. Ajayi says, my goals are locating me. Yes. Anissa says, being specific about my expectations and not struggling to pursue goals. Yes, very true. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I love that. Noel Labi says, other people's time. Dr. Simeon says, the resources are already available. Jahara says, outsource self-growth. Fantastic. Fantastic. Romeo says, outsourcing stood out for me and resources being available. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do a quick, let me throw a challenge. Let me throw a challenge to all of us. I want you to write today's date in your jotter and write the dates, write today's date and count 21 days from today. What is the date of 21 days from today? What is the date of 21 days from today? Somebody should count for us. 21 days. Let me not say 21 working days. Let's just leave it for 21 days. What's the date of 21 days from today? July 8th. 21 days from today. Is that correct? 21 days. July 10th. Is it 8th or 10th? Somebody says 7th. Okay. But I see the majority. Okay, another one says 9th. Hey, wow. 21 days from today. Counting, you know, tomorrow is 1. Tomorrow is 1, then 2, 3, 4, up to 21. But I think the most popular so far is July 8th.
July 8th.
Fantastic. So, July 8th. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do something. Let's do something. I want you to test 2 things. We're going to test 2 things. 1, we want to test that we have the resources available that we mostly look for. And 2, we want to test that we can outsource what we spend time doing and use that time to make new money. I want you to test these 2 things in the next 21 days. It's a challenge I'm throwing to you. If you may, you could come back to me and say, wow, I tested it, it did not work. Or wow, I tested it, it worked. It's a challenge. You may return to me with it, or you may not. It depends on you. But I want you to test these 2 things. I want you to test it. For every idea you thought you needed someone from outside to do, you actually had an internal resource, whether a person or a skill or a thing to do it. And then for everything you'd spending your time to do, you can actually outsource it to either the person that is within your cycle or to someone that can do it better than you could have done it. 21 days. I like that challenge with Bukola, writing and finishing my 3 books in 21 days. Let's go do it. Fantastic. So this is what to do. This is very, very important for you. Let me tell you, people wonder how I write my books. The truth is, it costs me almost no time to write my books. Once I think of a topic, I tell Fola, I have a book cover. I want a book cover. He does a book cover. He says to me, I put the book cover on social media, open a pre-order, even without writing an alphabet. I open pre-orders. I start marketing the pre-order as if the book is coming out in 1 week. They start paying. I tell the editor, send me a transcript of questions. That was the same thing I did with But What Do I Know? That was the same thing I did with Based on Logistics. Based on Logistics, I just simply harmonized my BSG courses, fine-tuned them, boom, manuscript was ready. But what do I know? I sat down with a team. They asked me questions verbatim in my home office. I answered them. They recorded it. Boom, manuscript don't come out. That is how I have written books. And so when you tell me, coach, I don't know how you're doing it. I've been wanting to write a book since 10 years ago. I don't know why you're wasting time. Because you want to do everything by yourself. You want to have an office. It is you that wants to look for the office location. It's you that wants to do interior deco. It's you that wants to paint. It's you that wants to do camera. It's you that wants to do. What is the problem? You want to maybe open a business. It is you that wants to have the name. In fact, some of you will say, the name of the business, I have to create it myself. I don't get it. So many things you hold so tight to your chest. You need to calm down. You need to calm down. I have noticed that the wealthiest of people don't cut costs the way we look at it. What they cut costs in are strategic ways, not the way you say, let's buy only 2 mudu of sugar, let's not buy 1 bag. If not, why are we buying 1 bag? That's not how they cut costs, though. Cutting costs does not mean depriving yourself of quality. Cutting costs means what I really don't need, I won't buy it. Cutting costs means I can curtail my wants. But guess what? Remember in the previous slide, let me go back 1 slide. You remember in this slide, we talked about satisfaction. Can you see this? Can you see this slide? We talked about satisfaction. why would I be motivated if I'm not satisfied about the ambition I have? So sometimes you must spend to satisfy your self-esteem, your psyche, your ego, because there is a sacrifice you're already making. For God's sakes, you spend so much hours developing yourself. You spend so much hours building yourself. You spend so much hours reading. You spend so much hours attending courses. Then you cannot buy yourself a handsome gift or a good reward. Some of you, if I say, let's travel to Seychelles, you say, put that money to pay school fees. You will never stop paying school fees. But does that now mean you should not do yourself good? So I want to appeal to you. Give yourself satisfaction as you are making sacrifices. Let me tell you something. Robert Kiyosaki said in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, give yourself 10% reward for the 100% sacrifice you are making. I want to say, me, I don't put a percentage. As they do me, that's why they do them. I've been saying like this, even though I'm not sure I will travel this year because of COVID, but any goddamn day I feel funny, I will transport myself to any hotel and go and sit down there. That's what I've been doing this from. And you know the funny thing? I've done this even way before I understood this thing. That's why my mom always fights me. I like living big. I'm like trying to do big man. Mom, see, pack well. I'm not doing big man. I'm just satisfying my own self based on the sacrifices I'm putting on the table. So I'm hoping that you understand some of these things. And some of you should build neurogenetic nerves from this understanding. Build neurogenetic nerves from this understanding. Number one, every resource you are looking for, you already have it, whether it's in persons or in material items. Number two, outsource as much as you can. Free your time. Please, I don't know how to say this, but free your time as much as you can. Free your time as much as you can. There are lots of projects coming to us as an organization. I have a lot of people that are doing it. Yesterday, my team and I went for a meeting and we landed a project, and I just asked them, who among our people can do this project? That's how we think. That's how I think. I don't want anything to clutter my time. I'm always thinking of what cost. Have you noticed my daily WhatsApp broadcast? I announce one program or the other almost every time. Why? Because I have free latitude to think and create. Think and create. But if you bog down yourself with mundane things, operational things, you're the one doing everything, you cannot breathe. You cannot create. So let me not overspend time on this point, because I think I have done a bit of justice on that. So let's move on to the next point. Thank you, Aisha, too. I like your comment. Bukola saying, yes, so let's go to this point. Can you see what is on the screen? If you can see what is on the screen, please say, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, there are two reasons why you have not succeeded the way you desire to succeed. There are two reasons why you have not achieved the dream you have in your mind the way you really wish you could. There are two reasons why you are afraid. There are two reasons why you are self-doubting. There are two reasons why you are regretting. There are two reasons why you are scared. There are two reasons why you are limited. There are two reasons why you are frustrated. There are two reasons why you want to just say, you know what, I'm tired. I'm not doing again. Two reasons. Number one, comparison. Number two, time. Number one, comparison. Number two, time. Number one, let me explain. The moment you compare your growth, your movement, your progress by any other standard aside yourself, you're already in trouble. The moment you start comparing, let me use my contemporaries, for instance, in my industry. If I start looking at, what's Steve Harris doing today? What's Bankole Williams doing today? What's Paul Ford doing today? What's Enahoro doing today? If that is all that preoccupies my mind, guess what? You'll just notice that subconsciously I'm copying. I won't even know. That's the funny thing. Sometimes we are not even conscious that we are copying. Why? Because we are predominantly preoccupied by comparing ourselves and our results with other people's results. Anytime you find yourself comparing yourself with a contemporary or a subordinate or someone ahead of you, you have missed the point. The only thing you owe yourself is your aspiration. Let me tell you something I learned in 2011. I learned when I was reading the book, 2007. I was reading the book, these books by Miles Monroe, what's those? There was this series, Understanding. Noel should be able to know that book. There was this tripartite, no, not purpose. It's not purpose. There was one called Understanding. If I remember the title, I'll say it again. They're just small books by Miles Monroe. There are 3 series like that. It's not purpose. Talent or something. I can't remember. If I remember the title, I'll say it. So, no, not that one. Not Understanding Purpose and Power. Not that one. It's a small book like this. 3 series. 3 different colors titled. I will look for it in my library and share it. When I was reading that book, one of the things that popped out to me is the fact that nobody on the surface of the earth can understand your own assignment like you. Nobody on the surface of the earth can understand your own assignment like you. So, while you are comparing yourself with someone else's assignment, you have completely missed the gap because you cannot fulfill your assignment looking at another person's potential. Thank you, Kizito. That's the book. Understanding your potential, mastering your potential. There are 3 series like that. Something potential, all of them potential. That's the book. Thank you, Kizito. When I read that book, it helped me understand that, see, you are the only one that understands your programming. I'm saying this because in expectation management, we are tempted to expect someone else to understand us and why we are doing what we are doing. That is a trap. It cannot work. In fact, 2 people in the same industry and sector may not even understand each other's journey because our potential and calling is like our fingerprints, unique to you. So comparison is the thief of purpose. 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 Run your race by yourself. Aspire to be better than you were yesterday. As you are encountering an obstacle, remember that obstacles are sent to test you. I said this, I think, on the first day. Obstacles are assessments, they are tests, they are examinations. So, comparison, somebody wants me to type it. Comparison is the thief of purpose. Comparison is the thief of purpose. It's the thief of purpose. Every time you felt, but I'm also an optometrist. Why is that other person seeming better? His clinic is better. He seems to be getting more patronage. But I'm also a life coach now. Why is that life coach seeming to be doing better? But I'm also a trainer now. But I'm also a teacher now. But I'm also a public speaker. But I'm also an author. Why is Coach Sam's book seem to be selling faster than my own? The moment you start thinking like that, you have lost it. Are you sure? Hey, see, may God deliver also. I met one guy that told me that when he came out, he said he has sold 10,000 copies of his book. People were saying, wow, you have cashed out, you have cashed out. Wow, you have cashed out, you have cashed out. He now said that people do not know. He said people do not know that The money he used to print the book was borrowed. The people that borrowed him money facilitated selling the book so that they can get their money back. So you're there envying him that he has sold 10,000 copies of his book, but nothing has come into his pocket. Because until they break even, he cannot collect money. But you are here saying, that guy, man, he's the bestseller. You have no idea. How many of you are familiar with entertainment contracts? I'm sure you heard some few weeks ago, those of you that are familiar with entertainment, you saw, what's this lady, Cynthia Morgan's issue on social media. That is just one example of many entertainment contracts. We'll be here comparing, if I was just like Davido, if I had money like Kiss Daniel, if I had money like Whiskey, you have no idea. So comparison is a thief of purpose. I call it a burden. Comparison is 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 a burden. Drop these comparisons. I beg you. If it means I should kneel down, I will beg you. Drop comparisons. It does not favor you anytime. Run your race. Take your time. Don't compare yourself with your spouse. Don't compare yourself with your siblings. Don't compare yourself with your industry contemporaries. Don't compare yourself with your trainers and your teachers. The people that trained you, they have their journey. Don't be saying, I'm almost catching up with the person that trained me. Larry Olushola one day was drawing our attention to some coaches that were saying, we want to be getting the kind of money Larry Olushola is getting. He said he doesn't have a problem with that. He said, but the thing is, I have been at this work for over 20 years. You are just coming up. You are just like 7 years into this work. The difference will always be clear. Sam Obafemi, I was certified in life coaching 10 years ago. November this year will make it exactly 10 years that I have been a UK licensed life coach. I've been an ICF member for so many years. You can't be a coach of 3 years, 4 years, and even no matter how much you aspire, there is just some differences that may show up. So when you begin to compare and say, I have to surpass Coach Sam, I have to surpass Larry Olushola, I have to surpass Leke Alda, is a good aspiration, no doubt. But if that consumes you, you are going to be burnt. Comparison is a burden. Comparison is a burden. Comparison is a burden. I want you to remember that statement for as long as you remember. Comparison is a burden. So let's go further to break that down. Number one, I saw this quote and I liked it. He said, I don't see anyone as my competition. We don't have the same dreams. We don't have the same goals. We don't have the same ambitions. We don't have the same brains. In fact, we are not the same. The funny thing is that all of you actually know these things. But the funny thing again is that all of you are broken by comparisons. You have created a competition in your brain that you want to outwit or outbeat somebody. You want to outpace a brand. You want to outwit a brand. You want to outcompete a person. That is unnecessary step, unnecessary stress. It's a burden. It's like weight on your shoulders. Please don't do this to yourself, please. One day, Fola, my designer, sent me a message. He said, Baba, I just realized why you're not in competition with anybody. The truth is that whether it's a conscious thing or an unconscious thing, I just focus on my lane. And it has helped me, at least for my mental health. I'm fine. I'm not bothered about anybody's waka. Just do your waka. Let me do my waka. Everybody do your day. It's a very important thing you need to remember these things. Some of you are competing with your spouses. It's a competition. Now me get money pass. Now me get vision pass. Now me get energy pass. Now me get this one pass. Since you can't support me, let me show you that I can do it my way. We need to recalibrate our thinking. Some of us are competing with our siblings. I need to prove that me too, I have my own money. I need to prove that me too, I have my own vision. I have my own book. I'm also an author. We don't need to do all these things. We don't need to do these things. Number 2 quote that I saw that I liked. He says, please do not compare your journey with that of others. Just like the sun and the moon, we all shine in our own time. Everybody has his own clock. Everybody has his own clock. Everybody has his own clock. You can't outshine anybody, and neither can you make anybody outshine you or reduce anybody's shine. We don't have that power. The last quote with respect to comparison says, happiness is found when you stop comparing yourself with other people. Happiness is found when you stop comparing yourself to other people. Happiness is found. What is happiness, in my opinion? That self-place of satisfaction, that internal place of fulfillment, that internal place of, gratitude. Like, things may not have turned out how I want. I don't know what's happening in any other place, but I am happy where I am. It's a very important thing. The next is time. I said we have a burden of comparison. I call this the illusion of time. Yemisi says the second slide. Well, I don't think you need to write these quotes. You're going to get the slides. So unless you're writing what I'm saying, you don't need to write the quotes. You're going to get the slides. So, but let me know when to move forward. So I talked about the first, I said the burden of comparison. Can I move on now? The burden of comparison is the first. And then the second is the illusion of time. The illusion of time. The burden of comparison. Okay, so I'll move on if I count down from 5, 5, 4, 3.
Move on, coach.
Okay, thank you. So the first.
I'm only seeing pyramid of expectation slide. Have you changed the slide?
Pyramid, okay. Pyramid of scenes. We have moved scenes. So,
no.
Biola, restart your link. Disconnect and reconnect. Okay, so the first was the burden of comparison. The second is the illusion of time. And what is the illusion of time? Ladies and gentlemen, for those that attended the creator class last Sunday, this will be a bit more familiar for you. First and foremost, none of us, time does not exist. Time was invented by us here on earth, but time really does not exist. What exists is seasons. Time does not exist the way we look at it. What exists is seasons. Time does not exist. What exists is seasons. I want you to take note of that. That is why some people say, I hope to get married when I'm 30. I hope to get married when I'm 36. I hope to get married before I'm 25. Many get married, many don't get married. Why? It's not a time thing, it's a season. There is a season of an experience. And until that season arrives, no matter how much you are frantic about the time, it will not happen. If you like, I must own my house at 30. I must own a Jeep at 32. I must have married at 22. I must have 3 children. All these are your speculations. But guess what? Nothing happens in time. Things actually happen in seasons. So there is a season of youth. There is a season of adulthood. There is a season of old age. There is a season of childhood. There is a season of adolescence. There is a season of teenagers. Those are seasons. And that's why we do things in seasons. That is why somebody may be 30 years old and go back to secondary school because they are going back for adult education. Why are we not saying you have passed the time of learning? No, because it's seasons. That person, that is his or her season of going back to that level of education. So please don't work with time, work with seasons. To manage your expectations, understand your seasons. Understand your seasons. Know when you are in the right frame of mind for something. When you are in the right frame of mind for something, give it the best, because that is the season for it, not the time for it. Don't work with time, work with seasons. That's the first quote I saw that I liked. The next quote that I saw that I like is, if we pay no attention to it, time does not exist. The operative word here is if we don't pay attention to time. The operative word here is if we pay no attention to time. You need to remove, some of you have been doing your business for 3 years. When will I blow now? You have been hustling. When will I blow? I started hustling with this man. He has already blown. I've not blown. This hustle is even real because you are working with time. But he that does not faint will reap the fruit of his labor, because you need to wait for your season. You need to wait for your season. There was a man in Lagos, I can't remember if he's dead or alive, Fatai Rolling Dollars. How many of us know Fatai Rolling Dollars? When Fatai Rolling Dollars, in his heydays, he was popular. He was enjoying himself. He was very, very popular. He's one of those, I don't know his genre, whether it's Fuji or something, or Afro Fuji in Lagos. He was enjoying his heydays, but it came to a point where, he died last 2 years. Oh my shell. God rest his soul. So Fatai Rolling Dollars was there, enjoying his time. And then things really didn't seem to be pulling up. Then 1999, when our democracy came back, Tinubu, Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, located him and said, Fatai Rolling Dollars, haba, no way. And then Tinubu reintegrated him into the system. It is said that the popularity of Fatai Rolling Dollars in this democratic period almost either outweighed what he originally was even before. That is season at work. Last few months, we heard of Egungun, be careful, you don't enter express. I mean, Egungun, be careful, na express you they go. Obesere. This is somewhere that maybe the younger generation have forgotten about. Boom, just one cover or one Instagram post of his song. Boom, he came back. Seasons. You need to work in seasons. Now, the difference between time and seasons is that seasons repeat themselves. Time does not repeat itself. That's why you hear people say, when a time has been lost, it cannot be recouped. But a season can return. I'm begging you to listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying something that is normal. Time lost is not gotten back. Seasons always return. Seasons are cycles. That's why every year there is a summer, there is autumn, there is winter, there is whatever. Every year there is dry season, wet season, harmattan. Seasons always come back. If you think in seasons, when a season seems to have shifted, you will be preparing for the next season. But if you think in time, when a time has passed, you'll be beating yourself because that time has gone. Don't think in time. Think in seasons. When you miss a season, start planning for the next season because it will come back. If you think in time and time has gone, you will become frustrated, depressed. You start beating yourself hard. You see, I'm growing old. I didn't have a child when I should have had a child. I didn't marry when I should have had a man. I had a man that loved me. I lost the good man. He has gone now. I can never get a man again. Big lie. If you think in seasons, as you have lost a relationship, another one is coming because it's a season. All you do is prepare. What did I do the last season that was a mess? In my next season, I must not repeat it. What did I do in the last season that was good? In my next season, I must do better. If you think in seasons, you will flourish. That is how to manage your expectations. So don't go saying, when I had money, I didn't build my business. Now I don't have money. I cannot build my business again. That is a lie from the pit of hell. When you have lost money, you will realize that another season is coming, that another money will come. Then you will correct what you did not do right the last time. That is how to think. Abiola Sena, Professor Sam Babalao, God will help me. So I hope this has made some sense to you. If I continue this way, we will not finish today. I have another quote I saw that I like. It says, time and size do not exist in the universe. Of course, you all know the secret. Time and size do not exist in the universe. It is as easy to heal a pimple as a disease. The process is identical. The difference is in our minds. So I will not continue reading. Let me just buttress a point. I was telling a staff of mine recently, she's trying to do a project that will cost some money. And she was weighing which of the options she should pick in the project. And I said, the hustle, so I hear this a lot. Somebody will say, what it will take you to raise 100K is the same hustle that you will raise 1 million. It's the same hustle. Any amount you're looking for, any dream you have, what it will take to rent a 1-bedroom is the same hustle to rent a duplex. It's the same hustle. It's the same faith, the same prayer, the same thinking, the same planning, the same strategizing. It's the same thing. It's just to scale up, but it's the same effort. It's the same. That's why here it says the process. I'd like you to pay attention to that statement. The process is identical. No matter what your outcome is, no matter what your expectations are, it's the same process. I want to say something I said the first day. Some of us are in a hurry. You want to get that thing done now. If I don't get it now, I'm not happy. You have done thrc, the human response code. Suddenly you feel that if I don't start getting things done, I will become cold. I may lose my vibrancy. I may lose my motivation. Let me start doing it quick, so that Kosan will not be disappointed. No. Don't compare yourself with anybody in this class. You sit down, draw a plan. The size of your dream determines how long it may take, but it's the same process. If you want to raise 100K between now and the end of June, and you want to raise 1 million between now and the end of June, it's the same process. It might not be the same time. It's just that's the way you should think. So these things are very, very, very important to take note of. Now let me do this with us. Many people in their assignment says, some of the beliefs they are struggling with is, I don't have time. Many people in their assignment said, some of the beliefs they are struggling with is, I don't have time. On Sunday last week, I had a session, a fiery session for about 3 hours on how to think like a creator. If you don't have that, if you are not a member of Diary of a Coach and you were not in last Sunday's session, I think you should get the recording. I trust this topic very, very well, and I think you should have it. However, I want you to grab your jotters. Let's do a quick exercise. For all of you that told me in your assignment, I don't have time. I leave home on time. I live in Lagos. There's traffic. There's so much work. In fact, coach, I wish I had 48 hours. There's so much to do. I don't know why I can't do it. I want you to quickly do this with me. Let's do this in the next 5 minutes. So, I want you to draw this table in your jotter quickly. But in this table, draw just Monday to Saturday. Don't populate the time column yet. Just draw the columns Monday to Saturday quickly. Quickly. When you do it, let me see in the chat room that you have done. Just write done. If you have drawn, just quickly draw the chart of the table. Monday to Saturday to Sunday. Monday to Sunday. Don't write the time column yet. Not yet. Don't write the time column yet. Just not yet. Don't write the time column just yet. Fantastic. When I get 3 more done, I will move on. I have 2 already. 3, 4, 1 more, and I'm going. 1 more done, and we go. Fantastic. So we have that. Now let me tell you, this is called the timesheet. This is called the timesheet. All the people who attended my Sunday class last week, they already have this. We have the procrastination mastery sheet via email. They already have it. It's called the timesheet. Now, for the column where there is time, I want you to write for me the first time in that column. What is the average time you wake up in a day? Average time. What's the average time you normally wake up in a day? That wake up time in my own sheet. Write the time, the real time in your own cell. Write the real time in your own cell. Write the real time in your own cell. If you are done, let me know. Fantastic. Fantastic. Good. Then for every time, now that you have written the real time in the first cell, let's assume you wrote, okay, come again for which one? Draw this table, populate Monday to Sunday, just write Monday to Sunday the way you see it. Then the first time in your own column should be the real time you normally wake up on the average every day. Write the real time. If it's 6 o'clock or 6:30 or 5:30 a.m., write the real time in this column. Write it for me. Have you done that, Jahara? Then for the rest of us, after that time, write 1 hour later from that time. So if your first time is 6 a.m., the next will be 7, the next will be 8, the next will be 9, all true. The last time on that column should be the average time you normally go to sleep. So write every hour after the wake up time until the time you on the average go to sleep. Quickly do that for us, please. Let's do that within 60 seconds. Just write the hours, every hour until the time you go to bed. So the bedtime should be your own average bedtime. What is the time that is your own bedtime? Write it there. If you are done populating the entire column of time, write done. No, write fully done. If you are done populating the column of time, write fully done. Fully done. Write fully done. I have 2, 3. I'm expecting 2 more and we'll move. 4, 1 more and we move. Fantastic. So we have fully done. Now this is the task. I want you to think, let's go back to, today is Wednesday. Let's go back to yesterday. I want you to go back to an average Tuesday. We're referring to yesterday now. An average Tuesday, from when you wake up to when you go to bed. What do you normally do on the average, on a good day? Now, I know that for some people, because of COVID, you are not going to the office. So bear in mind that assuming there was no COVID, assuming there was no leave, assuming you are not currently on vacation, on the average, what do you do on a typical Tuesday? We're using only yesterday for our example in this case. Just use only yesterday. Populate from when you wake up till you went to bed. What do you normally do on a Tuesday? I want you to populate that column, only Tuesday column, based on yesterday alone. When you are done with Tuesday, write Tuesday done. Populate only Tuesday. On the average, what do you normally do from when you wake up till you go to bed? When you've populated it, please write Tuesday done. Please write Tuesday done. So let's see if you can complete. Fantastic. Someone is done. Let's see if you can, the rest of us can be done in 30 seconds. Just write Tuesday done. Tuesday done. Tuesday done. Another one is done. 3 more and we move. 3 more Tuesday done and we move. We have the third, then the fourth and fifth. Tuesday done. Fantastic. 1 more. Fantastic. Good. So I want you to do an X-ray. Now, because of this, because we're doing this real time, we won't have all the time to populate every day. But actually in practice, what you're supposed to do is you're going to write all I do on the average on Monday. All the things I normally do on Tuesday. All the things I normally do on Wednesday. All the things I normally do on Thursday. All the things I normally do on Friday. all the things I normally do on Saturday, all the things I normally do on Sunday. That's how it is supposed to be. But because of this exercise, we're focusing on only yesterday. So go back to yesterday. For each activity that was mandatory, I want you to write M. M for mango. M mandatory beside that activity for each hour. For each hour that what you did was non-negotiable, inevitable, mandatory, write M. And then for anyone that was not mandatory, write O. O means optional. For every mandatory non-negotiable task of each hour, write M. For every non-mandatory negotiable task, write O. That means optional. When you write all M's and all O's for only Tuesday, write done. When you're done writing your M's and your O's, write done. When you're done writing your M's and your O's, write done. M equal mandatory. O equals optional. We have 2 people done, waiting for 3 more people, and we continue. M for mandatory, O for optional. 3 people done, 4 done, 5 done. Fantastic. Now I want you to write for me, how many O's do you have so far from only Tuesday? How many O's do you have so far from only Tuesday? How many O's do you have so far from only Tuesday? Chini 2. How many O's do you have from only Tuesday? Chini has 2. Who else? Dr. Simeon 2. Abigail 2. Abiola 5. Ritma 2. I'll take one more and we continue. Wow, Romeo 7. Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me continue at this point. What this means is, and I want you to please listen to me. What this means is this. You have an average, you remember that for each O is a representation of an hour, or at least 1 hour, or let's even say 30 minutes. Each O represents between 30 minutes to 1 hour. So for every O you have, that is a possible or a potential free time. A possible or a potential free time, because they are optional activities. So that was for only Tuesday. Now multiply that number you have by 7 days, assuming that that is the mirror of what your days look like. Assuming. So those that wrote, because nobody here wrote 1. Nobody here wrote 1 O. The minimum I have here is 2 O's, which means the minimum number of O's in this person's week is almost 14, if not 14. That is what this tells me. It means that the minimum number of O's the person that has 2 O's has in a week is minimum of 14. What that tells me is, let's say I'm trying to be modest. You have at least 10 free hours in the week. So imagine those that have 3 O's. Imagine those that have 5 O's. Imagine those that have 7 O's. By the time you multiply it by 7 days, it gives you the number of hours that you can play around with, because they are optional activities. So when you tell me that, Coach Sam, I want to be the best version of myself, then the same you now tells me I don't have time. That is why yesterday neuroplasticity says you cannot say I want to be the best version of me, firing in one cylinder. And then the same you comes and says I don't have time, firing in the opposite cylinder. Guess what? You are neutralizing your neurons. You are weakening your neurons. Because if you say I want to be the best version of me, the next question should be, this is my time that I'm using. Can I reorganize my time so that I can maximize my time and get the best version of me started? There is so much loose time you can play around with. This time sheet says, when you have done your daily sheet, you can collect your optional hours into the same day, or you can use the optional hours every day. A typical example, I try not to put anything on my Friday.
because Friday is my creation days. Friday is the day I do the best I can not to do any work, unless, of course, I have to be in school. So from morning hours of Friday till school time by 4 p.m. is free days, free time for me. I maximize that. So what I've done is I make sure Monday to Thursdays are usually full of work, project, meeting, work to do anything, because Fridays must be clear. Because those are the days I want to do my IG live. Those are the days I want to do my creativity work. Those are the days I want to think of anything crazy that I can use to make money over the weekend. So what I did was move all my free time from Monday to Thursday into Friday. Somebody can do that. You can create your free day. Another alternative is I can take 30 minutes of every day. If I have 2 optional hours, I can take 30 minutes from the 2 hours so that it doesn't look like all I'm doing is work and vision and purpose. You can take part of the free hours every day. If you devote 30 minutes every day for 7 days, you have created 3.5 hours time for whatever you want to become in this life. If you devote 3.5 hours every week and you multiply that by 4 weeks in a month, you have created, that is 14 hours in a month devoted to building your life, building a life for yourself. Some of you are not living life at all. You are just existing. You are just robotic. You wake up, alarm wakes you up, you start running like a rat everywhere. Till you are tired. You fall in your bed and sleep off. The next day, continue. You come back, you are tired, you sleep off. The next day, you continue. Before you know it, happy birthday to you. You continue. Next year, happy birthday to you. You continue. After 10 years, you are wondering, what have I even been doing with my life? You now say, God, why me now? Did I not graduate secondary school with these girls? Why are they flying? Everybody is flying. You are just been running like a rat. Because you thought you did not have to. Other people were building systems while you are not comparing yourself, but you are also not even building yourself. So this excuse of I don't have time is an illusion. And we go back to the slide that talks about that. Ladies and gentlemen, this issue of time is an illusion. Don't ever say to yourself that I don't have time, because even you're lying to yourself. Because if you use the timesheet, you see that you can save time, you can aggregate time, and you can use the time. I'm going to say it again. You can save time, you can aggregate time, and you can use the time. I'll say it the third time. You can save time, you can aggregate time, and you can use the time. I'm trying to type it. Save time, aggregate time, and use time. Please don't lose touch of this understanding. Some of us are running sprints. Many more of us will be running creations. I adapted this directly from my creation slides. Some of you want everything done sharp. Some of you know that some things will take time. Some expectations can happen now. Some expectations will take time. Expectations that can happen now are neurogenetic thoughts. Things like radical thinking that will need to interrupt your negative energy. Those are immediate thoughts that can happen. But the evidence of the change of thoughts takes time. It takes time for you to start seeing the results of the changed mind. It takes time to start seeing the results of the changed attitude. It takes time to start seeing the results of the changed behaviors. I want to beg all of you, especially those of us that have spouses, fighting your spouse because of your vision is ignorance. Fighting your spouse because of your vision is ignorance. You are responsible to understand your role in getting your vision and knowing the long-term strategy to incorporate your spouse's personality and attitude. Your spouse is not under obligation to do your vision with you. It's not an obligation. Everything in this world is strategy. Everything is strategy. If your heart desires that your spouse joins you in your vision, create a strategy that makes him attracted to it, not forcing him or her coercing him or her, blackmailing him or her, and saying, you see, I don't know why I even married you. You don't even believe in my vision. You are blah, 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 blah. That's not the basis, because there is no obligation. So if your heart wants your spouse in your vision, create a strategy that makes the vision attractive to him or her. If you have the capacity to run your vision without your spouse, it is still a welcome development. So don't go creating expectations that are unrealistic, that will hurt you more than getting you results. Our time is fast spent, so I'm going to rush. This is our last slide, and I'm going to talk about this. This is called the expectation management model. Expectation management model that is designed. Abiola says, sometimes it is fear. Jara says, believe in yourself and present that. Fantastic. So, Abiola, sometimes it is fear. The question will now be, what exactly am I afraid of about this issue? If I don't have my spouse, what would it lead to? If I have him or her, what would it lead to? So once you have that conversation with yourself, substantiate the fear, identify the root of it, and address the fear. So that way you can handle it. Fantastic. So Abiola says, I'm reading a book that is debunking that. Fantastic. I think you should tell the title of the book so that others will probably look for it and read it. But let me quickly share this because of our time. We call it the expectation management model. It was developed by Consulting Resource Group. Consulting Resource Group is the owner of this model. And you can see I gave them credit for it on the slide. So it's not Coach Sam's model, oh, please. Now, what this model says is, for every expectation, you must create 2 systems that can help you keep your expectation running. 2 things. Number 1, create a feedback system that tells you how well you are doing with your expectations. Create a feedback system that helps you know how well you are doing with your expectations. Let me tell you a secret. I used to handle feedback very badly before. Like, I don't like to hear feedback, especially if it's not an inspiring feedback. Feedback like, you are this, you are that, you are this. I used to take it badly. I had to learn it the hard way. So when I get feedback, I pause, take it in, process the conversation, and see the light in it, and respond and say, oh, thank you for this feedback. If I may ask, are you trying to say this? Do you mean this? Do you mean that? In clarifying, I get to see that, oh, it's actually to my advantage. But before, I'll just shut down and say, they have come again. Everybody wants to live my life for me. Let them leave me alone. So feedback is very key in managing your own expectation. If someone tells you that you're not sensitive to the people around you, you are too passionate about your vision, don't say, they have come again, no haters. You may not like how the person says it, because sometimes people don't know how to say it. But you need to listen to the quality behind the feedback and ask yourself, if this is true, in what ways can I adjust? If this is not true, then do I want to respond to this person and educate this person? Or do I want to just ignore? There are so many ways to do this. Don't just say, please, Parkwell, Joe, who are you? Are you the one that said, are you the one paying my salary? What's your problem? Or just block the person. Some of us like block. You block left, right, center, block people's destinies. I don't know what's the problem. Calm down. So I'm telling you from my own place of experience, I also didn't used to take feedback graciously. I have learned a lot because I realized that the moment I set up an advisory board for all my businesses, taking feedback became easier because they would trash me. So I found that the moment I became open to taking trashy feedback, it helped me a lot. And many times people misunderstand your intention, so they give you feedback from their own place of ignorance. Then you educate them and say, oh, okay, I get your point. However, this is what is actually the situation. The person says, oh, okay, I didn't know. But okay, so thank you so much. I appreciate the feedback. You must be open to feedback to be able to manage your expectations. Then number 2, we have talked about this again and again and again. Reward and recognize your efforts. Reward and recognize your efforts. We talked about this earlier when we talked about satisfaction. We talked about this earlier when we talked about rewarding yourself. Reward and recognize your efforts. Don't just be running every day, suffering, struggling, and you're not rewarding yourself. Some of you have resentments because you feel you have over-labored and nobody is saying well done. Nobody is saying thank you. In fact, all you're hearing is give me your phone. I want to take money. Give me money. Give me money. I want money. You are not taking care of us. You are not giving us. That's all you are hearing. You're not hearing, oh, thank you for all you're doing. Well done. Keep it up. God bless you. Doors will open. It's well with you. You're not hearing those things. So that is how to manage expectations. However, you also, in getting your expectations, there are some things you should be looking for. There are some things you must be projecting outward. If you see from the diagram, feedback and reward and recognition are coming into you. You are taking them. But there are things you should also seek out for. Number one, seek out for proper support. Find a way to build a support system for yourself. I want to say this. Create support systems. Create support systems. Don't pray for support systems. Create support systems. Prayer is backed by actions. While you are praying that God sends you help from heaven and God sends you mercenaries to support you, you must be willing to create a functional support system. Many of you here, God has sent you help in the form of a coach, in the form of a friend, in the form of a spouse, in the form of a partner, in the form of a critic, but you have sent them away. Your pride, your self-doubt, your fear, your attitude, your character has sent your help away. But when people come to you and show that they can support you, you must be able to create support systems from them, which means a level of transparency, a level of rapport, a level of relationship. But some of you, trust issues will not allow you, fear will not allow you, doubt will not allow you, even self-judgment, the fact that you don't even trust yourself, you can't trust other people. These are issues that erode support systems. So you need to be able to build support systems by yourself. Number two, you must be able to build ability in yourself to meet your expectations. This is a capacity issue. You must consistently invest in your capacity. You must consistently invest in your capacity. If your expectations will not be cut off, you must invest in your capacity. Never lose a chance to earn a new skill. Don't throw away a chance to learn a new knowledge. Don't throw away a chance to learn a new way of thinking, because the new way of thinking can contribute to your neurogenesis or your neuroplasticity. New ways of thinking always contribute to our neurogenesis or neuroplasticity. So don't lose a chance to learn a new way of thinking. Learning a new way of thinking, in my personal opinion, is like the foundation of any growth. It's the foundation of innovation. It's the foundation of evolution. It's the foundation of growth. New thinking. Then the last is desire. Don't lose touch with your desire. There's this former president of France, Sarkozy, Nicolas Sarkozy. He wrote a book called Testimony. And in that book, he said, the proof of desire is sacrifice. The first slide I showed us today talked about the pyramid of expectation. And the first element at the base of the pyramid was sacrifice. This place is saying one of the things you must do to show that your expectations mean a lot to you is a burning desire. And I've just quoted a book that says, the proof of desire is sacrifice. I think I've connected the dots enough. The proof that you desire something is the level of sacrifice you're willing to give that thing. So don't come telling me you want to be the best coach in Nigeria and then to pay to be a global coach, or to pay to learn under a global coach, or to pay to learn the ethics and the rudiments of coaching. You are not willing to do it. They give you assignments, you will not do it. They say pay for something, you're looking for free. They say come and join this one. You say every time they're collecting our money. But you want to be the best version of this one. You want to be the most highest earning something. They don't match. The best way to prove you desire something is to make sacrifices for it. By the time you have a support system you are building capacity, and you're showing your desire. You're actually building an accountability vehicle. It means that you're building a system where you're showing up every given time. You're showing up every given time. You're showing up every given time, and it's improving on you because feedback will show from the accountability, which you are using as a tool to reinforce your ability. As you're getting feedback from accountability, you know the gaps you have, you will build an ability for it. As you're getting feedback from accountability, you know the props and the testimonials you're getting is reinforcing your desire. This thing is a circle, and that is how it works. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope that we have done a bit of justice today. And I do hope that I have not just rambled away. I hope that I have made you think a bit. And I hope that we have reinforced some of the things we'll be learning from Monday. Because by now, I believe that the issue of I'm afraid, I doubt, I'm not sure, I think by now you should have moved some degrees in the direction of what you really want. And hopefully you can begin to practice some of these things. Because only by doing can you get things done. The title of the book, according to Biola, is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Thank you for sharing the title of this book. So my friends and colleagues, how have we fared today and what do you have to say? I'll listen to you in the chat room. Let's see how far gone we have today. Whoa, it's past 6. Can we ever stop at 6 o'clock at all? We should have. Past 6 already. So let's take your quick feedback. Tomorrow is the last day, the finale. We're going to spend just 1 hour tomorrow. We're not going to keep you for 2 hours. Tomorrow is Unleash. Tomorrow is Unleash. We call it immersion. We're going to do an immersion tomorrow. It's going to be straight to the point, and we're going to have fun. Fantastic. Fantastic. Dr. Faith, please ask your question. Thank you so much, Abiola, for your prayer. Thank you very much. Amen. I receive it. Anyone you want, Dr. Faith, please go on. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, Coach Sam. Can you hear me?
I hear you, Dr. Faith.
Thank you very much. God bless you for this sessions.
Thank you, boss.
My question propped up when you were talking about comparison.
Yes.
Sometimes some of us don't compare ourselves with other people, but with ourselves.
Yes.
For example, like a long time ago, I drafted a plan for my life.
Yes.
And I told myself, by so age, you should have done this. By so time, you have done this.
Yes.
By so this. And then when you don't meet up with that,
yes,
or you're having lapses,
yes,
and you're comparing what you are to what you ought to be, you know, now you're not comparing yourself with anybody, it's with yourself. Is that a problem too?
Thank you for a good question. Very, very good question. So, pragmatically speaking, you are actually your standard. You are your standard. The only person you should benchmark yourself against is you, and then you should be inspired by your references. So we need references for aspiration, but we need ourselves for benchmarking. Now, I think that maybe to a large extent, we should stop calling it comparison. Maybe that word comparison is even limiting. Maybe it's disempowering. Maybe we should use reflection. Maybe we should use benchmarking. Maybe we should use standardization or something more driven, something more fiery, something more triggering, you know? So that way you're able to say, I benchmarked my current results against where I thought I should be, and I found out, I found gaps. So I want to grow those gaps. I think it's a healthier way, because based on how comparison, now ordinarily comparison is not a bad word, but I think we have used it in a way that it now sounds like limiting. It now sounds like, you know, I'm falling short. I'm not doing enough. When I compare where I am now to where I'm supposed to be, oh, no, I'm not doing enough. So we need to understand that first and foremost, you are your own benchmark. You are your own standard. And it is a healthy thing to say, I thought I would be here by now. I have not reached here. What should I do to close the gap? I thought I should have been here by now. I have not reached here. What should I do to close the gap? So it's a very important thing to think. It's very good to benchmark yourself. Very good. There was a particular capital project I was hoping to have finished by June this year, but I had to retrain my mind about the time element. And I said, you know what? For every time I peg this milestone to time, I don't hit it. So you know what? I will leave it open. I will work on the process. I will keep enforcing the process and scaling up my returns so that when I achieve the goal, it's not time bound anymore. So another thing I want to tell you is, while you are using yourself as a benchmark, remove the element of time, because there are factors that may frustrate you in the terms of time. Rather, work with seasons. It's easier to work with seasons than to work with time. So remove the element of time and keep reinforcing the process and get things done. Yesterday, my younger brothers were asking me, bros, how far when you do your savings, because there's this particular system we developed, they were asking me, do I do it weekly or monthly? I said, no, I don't do it weekly or monthly. I do it as I get the traction. So instead of saying, oh, every week I want to save 1K, 100K, or every week I want to save 2K, or every week I want to save 500K, or every week I want to save 5 naira. No, I don't do every week. I don't do every month. I don't do no, I'm not doing that. I want to save based on traction. So that way I'm not boxed into a time frame. I'm rather following a process. So follow process, leave the outcome to happen when it will happen. I think that's the way we can think about that. Mrs. Abigail Ajayi says, I will spend time making money and make money work for me outsourcing. Fantastic. Bukola, please ask your question.
All right, thank you, Coach Sam. Thank you so much. In fact, I'm speechless. Thank you for everything that we've been doing in the last 3 days. Now, you're talking about comparison because I keep thinking about it, and you made mention that, oftentimes we have misused that word. It's actually not a disempowering word,
Yes.
but because most times when we use it, it comes like a disempowering word.
Exactly.
Now, is it that we shouldn't even look how to, how will I put it now? I'm looking at Doyon, for instance, and I'm looking at what she's doing, and I'm inspired, and I'm trying to, this thing, if I do what Doyon is doing in an empowering way.
Yes.
Is it that we shouldn't compare ourselves with people outside us? At what point should we strike that balance? Because sometimes when we keep comparing ourselves to ourselves, we shoot ourselves in the foot, because maybe you're supposed to go 1,000 yards, but because you don't have this external stimulus that is actually pushing you to go beyond that, timeline that you have given yourself, you may shoot yourself in the foot.
True.
But when you look beyond yourself and look at people who can actually push you, who can tell you can draw strength from your external stimulus. Should we still call that a disempowering comparison? That's my question.
Thank you very much. Very good question. So, like I said, when Dr. Faith asked, I said, we must have references for aspirational purposes. For aspirational purposes. By nature, God has designed it that every human being looks up to someone consciously or unconsciously. By design, God has wired us in the sense that we look up to people naturally. It's not something you're even conscious. The moment you were born, you were already looking up to your parents. Then as you were growing up, there was one little girl in your house that they were now saying, call her Auntie Titi, call her Auntie something, call this one Boda, call this one Big Bro, call this one Big Sis. So subconsciously, we naturally look up to people naturally. But the moment we try to start competing or trying to meet and match what they do, we're already comparing, which by itself becomes a limiting factor, because we are not meant to meet and match anybody. We are meant to build our own trajectory. But we are meant to use other people's trajectory as an aspiration to say, if this person can do it, that means I can actually do my own. Now, but what we are doing is, if Bukola can do it, that means I can also do the kind of things Bukola is doing. That's where we miss it. I'm supposed to say, if Bukola can do what she's doing in her space, I can actually pay the same price in my space and get things done. That's how it's supposed to be. So that is an aspirational reference. But when I start trying to, if Bukola can do, that's why do you think they call Nigerians anywhere belle face? If you do pure water, all your streets, everybody will start doing pure water. If you buy Range Rover, everybody wants to buy Range Rover. That is comparison at its worst. I'm supposed to say, if somebody can buy a brand new car, then I can actually save up, or I can actually get a job, or I can actually do business that can give me a lot of money to buy a brand new car. That is an aspirational reference. So we need to understand the difference. We are naturally wired to look up to people, but what are we looking at? Because you should be your own aspiration, you should be your own standard, using other people's energies and successes and failures to learn and make input in your own journey. That is a very, very important thing. Does that answer the question? So it's very key for us to understand that as much as possible. Jahara says, can you hear me? Are we still online?
Yes, we are.
Okay, fantastic. So
Yes,
Jahara,
yes, we are.
thank you. Jahara asks a question here. Let me quickly scroll up. He says, in the seasons of life, I get that it always comes round. But is there a disadvantage or a treasure lost which is attached to the destined season for an event? Good question. One thing I must let all of us know, this conversation we had in my session on Sunday. First and foremost, you were created by God to serve the world. Fundamentally, you were created by God to serve the world. Fundamentally, you were created by God to serve the world. So if a particular season, you think a block of people you should have served, you lost them, another season will come. Another block of people will be there for you to serve them. That's the way God works. Some people were supposed to be pastors, evangelists, prophets, and when they were young, they were gallivanting with women, smoking, drinking. The day they finally decided that I want to serve God, guess what? God still used them for a new set of people. God is perfect like that. God will not say, there was one man I wanted you to convert. Since you didn't convert him, then I will not use you again. God is not vindictive. God is not a taskmaster. God will not say, I wanted to use you when you were 20 years. Now you are 60, so I don't need you again. That's not how God works. That's not how God thinks. That's why I said, if you work with time, you will frustrate yourself. But if you work in seasons, you will have liberty. God is a God of liberty. God is a God of freedom. God is a God of multiple chances. So when you have lost a season, because the focus and beneficiary is not you, the focus and beneficiary is the world. God will arrange you to still serve the world because you can't serve everybody anyway. So I hope that answers Jahara's question. We men, we humans, we task ourselves based on what we have lost. In the eye of God, we lose nothing. In the eye of God, we lose nothing. God owns the whole world. The Bible says, the earth and its fullness thereof belongs to God. So what that means is, what you think you lost in Sokoto, you will benefit it in Abuja. It's the same God that owns both Sokoto and Abuja. You have lost nothing. You've lost nothing. You've lost nothing. You've lost nothing. You've lost nothing. We lost nothing. So don't let anybody guilt trip you. When I had money to sponsor you to school, you lost it. So I'm not sponsoring you again. You just tell God, I lose nothing. Now I want to go to school. It's now I want to go to school and I will still go to the school. Simple. That's why many of us graduated. Our colleagues went on to do masters. Me is now I'm doing masters. I left school 18 years ago. I left university 18 years ago. It's now I'm doing masters. Some of my colleagues are already PhD owners, be carriers, be holders. We will still reach there. So you've lost nothing. I want you to understand that. You've lost nothing. You've lost nothing. Nothing is lost. I don't know why this came. I want to thank Buki I want to thank Jahara for that question because he just raised another angle of conversation. Nothing is lost. Free yourself. Nothing is lost. Free yourself. God is a perfect architect. Anything missing on one part is added on another part. It is an equilibrium by itself. And I pray God gives you understanding of this philosophy. So thank you, everyone. I have enjoyed today. It touched me so deeply. Like, I'm really, really in tune today, and I'm really glad that we had this conversation. So thanks to everyone.